everyone, and welcome back to the Finger Guns Podcast with Tony, Dave, and James. I am your co-host, Jimmy, and I am here with
Dave.
And we are sans Tony today as he sucks. You know what? You guys said that I suck in the last one. He sucks this time.
He definitely sucks.
But we are here with a special interviews episode, a new addition to our interview series, where we are talking with Ant Timpson, who directed Bookworm. It stars Elijah Wood and Nell Fisher, which was an incredible film. I think we both enjoyed it. Yes.
Yeah, we both really enjoyed it. I'd have his previous film Come to Daddy on my list forever, and we had an opportunity to watch this, and I watched it. I really enjoyed it, and I immediately went out and put on Come to Daddy.
Yeah. I need to finish it. I started watching it last night as well, but I was like, oh, I need to understand more of what his directing style is like, and also like how he works with Elijah, since this is the second time with Elijah Wood.
Yeah, and we found out there might be a third, so that's kind of fun.
Might be a third,
but this one is a little more family friendly than Come to Daddy is, and it's very heartwarming. And having a daughter, it really struck a chord with me. But I think it'll strike a chord with anybody who has a relationship with their parent type thing, like an absentee one, or one that's just an awesome parent. Like, I feel there's just so much warmth and love in this movie, and it's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it strikes a balance of sort of this intimate warmth that you're talking about, but also being like this sort of vast expanse, because like it's mostly shot in the Canterbury region of New Zealand, and like it's stunning scenery. So it's crazy that like you're dealing with these giant vistas, but with a story that is so at its core very, very warm and completely approachable by literally anybody. It doesn't matter. You will find a way to love both characters in this movie.
Yeah, and Nell Fisher literally just got announced for Stranger Things. So
incredible work.
If you want to see what she's been doing other than Evil Dead Rise, you should definitely check this out when it's available. It just world premiered at Fantasia to rapturous applause. When we're recording this, it's the day after, but when you listen to this, it might not be so much the day after, but it's coming out this fall, and it's definitely worth your time. And getting to talk to Ant was quite wonderful, and learning about the film. And we had a little bit of fun talking about 35 millimeter at the end. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's a big 35 millimeter nerd. So stick around for the entire interview, because the end is really, really insightful, and you get some more film recommendations if you were curious about things. But it was a great little chat that we had.
Yes, was lovely. I hope we have him again. But until then, enjoy the interview, and we'll be back soon. Yes, lovely to meet you. Congratulations on the world premiere last night.
Yeah, it was a great night. Like, actually, taken by a bit of a surprise, the audience reaction. I mean, the Fantasia crowd is a pretty loved up crowd on a normal day, but it was they took it through the roof, man. We were so ecstatic at the end. So yeah, great screening.
Amazing. I wanted to ask, actually, we watched the film this week, and I had a question around, like anytime I see images of like the wilderness and the wilds of New Zealand, I just immediately want to jump on a plane and head there, because it's just absolutely so stunning. But I want to know if there was like any significance to using like the Canterbury region and the places you shot out in the wild there for you.
I mean, the boring answer would be for tax reasons, but there's a regional development fund down there, but it was always going to be set in the South Island. I've got like good family ties around that area. My dad grew up running a wild, like a feral child through all that area. So I had a sort of deep sort of connection on that level. As a kid, I used to go down for vacations to my cousins, and it was just that kind of what I feel is lost now, is that sort of non-parental control of kids where you were just free to roam like wild animals. They just like let you off, and there would be no sort of restrictions, no time, like when you had to come home. It was very much like that in the 70s. Like I think the safety circumference was like 25 miles from your house, and now it's down to like literally 20 feet from the house that parents feel that their kids are safe. So it was just a different time, and tried to capture a little bit of that that sort of nostalgic magic that I have a deep fondness for.
It totally worked. It was a gorgeous film to look at. I too would need to go to New Zealand now if I didn't already.
Honestly, you where are you guys now? Where are you based?
In Toronto.
Toronto. Okay, so I've been through a lot of Canada. Your scenery is just as stunning as New Zealand. Absolutely. The only difference is that you can get a lot in a small area of travel time. You literally can go from surfing to skiing to like climbing epic mountains or hiking rivers and trails within like 3 hours. Like it's just everything's jammed together. But it's crazy that we keep getting that reputation because there's just you've got incredible places to visit over in Canada. We had such a fun time in BC looking for locations when we were doing Come to Daddy, and I just fell in love with that area. So hey, the respect is mutual for each other's territories.
Well, we appreciate that. And since you mentioned Come to Daddy, both of these films kind of have to do with absentee fathers, and they both take a turn right in the middle of the film. Is there something that's drawing you to that sort of subject matter?
Well, yeah, I mean, Toby obviously would have a lot to say about that, the writer from the UK. But we've worked closely together. We wanted to make a kind of loose trilogy with Elijah that sort of had sort of connective tissue using those themes. But, it feels like now Elijah's become this avatar or this vessel for all our unspoken male insecurities, that we just hang them on him as this character who gets to portray, these sort of minor traumas that we mine for comedic effect. So, there's a few things that I kind of kept thinking about when we were coming up with Bookworm, is like a family vacation that went horribly wrong for me, where I was like, that horrible feeling where your kids look at you to be the hero and solve a really bad situation, and you just manage to shit the bed and and panic just like anyone else would in a normal circumstance. So it was kind of like that horrible feeling. It's like, let's amp that up and make it more comedic. But we always, we wanted to do a wilderness film. We wanted to have Elijah as the lead character, that he could be this sort of avatar for everything we wanted to throw on him. So it's just, Elijah just imbues this sort of inherent likability. And on any other sort of actor or character, the audience will just be over it, him being a punching bag for this precocious kid. But he manages it to win you over, even though he's kind of like a ridiculous character.
Yeah.
But very human. Like he just brings this, humanity and warmth to the character that's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's very wonderful in the film, and his chemistry with Nell Fisher is quite amazing.
Incredible.
How did she get involved in the film? Because I know there's a number of people, a number of collaborators that you worked with in the past, but Nell's new to the team. How did she get involved?
Well, we auditioned like 300 kids, I think, in New Zealand, around from the age range of 9 to 14. And Nell I'd already seen actually in these guys I know made an independent film called North Spur. It's like an action siege movie. And she was 8 years old in that, and she was really good. Like she wasn't through in the whole of the film, but she had like a cool minor character. And you could see that she had something. And then of course Evil Dead Rise had been made, and we hadn't seen it, but I rang Lee Cronin when we had a short list, and I talked to the director of Evil Dead Rise and asked him, like, how was it working with Nell? What do you think? Like, is it, because this is going to be a tough shoot? She's in every frame of the film, shooting in the wilderness. That's a lot for a kid, And he just said, hire her now, man. He just didn't even question it. He just said, get her. You're going to regret it if you don't. She's incredible. She's going to be a big star. And I think, now we know she's on her way it's the news of starring in one of the most successful shows of all time as well. It's not going to hurt things for her career. So yeah, we got lucky, man. I think we just got her at the tipping point, and then we'll probably never. She won't answer my calls from here on in. I think she'll be. No, yeah. So they just had really good chemistry. Like they didn't have much time together. We hit the ground running. We planned to have a bit of rehearsal time because it was all new terrain for me, like working with a child actor. So we wanted a little bit of time to get into the zone. But Elijah got hit with COVID immediately when stepping off the plane.
Oof.
And kind of threw things out completely. And so we just had a couple of days, and we managed to luckily I took them to the locations where we were going to shoot everything in, and we walked through scenes, and basically I shot stuff on my iPhone just to get them into the rhythms and just to soak up the environment of how it's going to be, and just prayed that the weather was going to hold throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Amazing. Actually, like just going right from that, I watching it, like there were some really, really stunning moments during Bookworm that I really liked. But I wanted to ask a little bit more about the considering that it was a small crew and you didn't have a lot of time to rehearse or anything. Can you talk a little bit about the that rope scene towards the end where they're climbing across the chasm? Was it difficult to film, or
how did that go? Yeah, it was like when I first scouted and found the ravine, I was like, oh, this has got to be it. But then when we got up to one edge of it, and I was like, oh, this looks terrifying. Like I got like nervous, like how are we actually going to do this? Because you couldn't even get to the other side. So it was like, were we going to shoot over, mortars to stick into the wall and then get a rope across and then get stunt riggers over? So it was like, how are we going to do this? So we had really professional stunt team involved. We got lucky, man. We had people coming off Avatar onto Bookworm. So we had some pretty A-listers on the crew who were great problem solvers. Yeah, we didn't have a lot to work with, but we had really exceptional people who knew what to do. And that sequence was going to be tough. We got, Elijah was game. He got out there on that rope, and it was like, that was the scariest part for me. It's just like, I cannot believe we've got a Hollywood a actor out on this rope. And it was just, it was freaky as hell, but great sequence. Like we just, I used cliffhanger as the sort of, the benchmark for those sort of moments of people on a high wire where things sort of, so yeah, it's a very much a homage to Harlan's cliffhanger opening sequence, and just wanted to have as much fun as possible up there. But yeah, tremendously a huge step up from Come to Daddy, which was like a chamber piece that had like one major sort of action violent sequence, and this thing took a couple of days to get together, and we shot the hell out of it, man. We got lucky. We brought in extra cameras and we shot the wazoo out of it just to cover ourselves. But yeah, it was great fun once it all came together. But those things take a lot of time to shape up, get them into looking and sounding as great as when you first see them. You just want to puke in the rough form, but they come together eventually. Yeah.
How at the end you show the news footage with the panther, like is that like a big story? Like I didn't know anything about that at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the same. Like there's the UK's got big cat sort of mythic like lore as well, and so does Australia. A lot of the states have their own big cat stories. So, but we've had our New Zealand one, which is the Canterbury Panther, for a long, long time, and it's not too far-fetched because there was like zoo animals that escaped and they thought maybe they've been breeding in the wild. And I've seen photos of a couple of shot ones that when we were down there, they showed us these, and they were like 1.2 meters, and a female panther is 1.7 meters. So it wasn't that, they're big, man. Like they had like 2-inch fangs. Like these are kind of like supercharged domestic cats that are still down there causing havoc on all the native wildlife. So it's not too far fetched to think, there might be an anomaly or two out there that are like kind of big. But the one that we show in the film, the real footage, is you can tell how a cat is different from the loping nature of a real panther, you know. So I find that hysterical, that live footage of that guy saying it's effing big. But yeah, so before filming started, we talked to a few people who had actually seen the panther or their panther. Who knows if it's one or multiple? And these aren't people that were looking for publicity or anything. They were one of the oldest families there. They didn't want to be named or anything. We were going to shoot on their location because they had these massive sequoia for some reason, which aren't native to New Zealand, but they had these incredible trees that we wanted to use. And they told us a story of like encountering one on a late night on a road, and it was just a gripping story. And the guy had a dog with him, and I was like, "So you mean like that sort of size?" And he was like, "No," he was like way bigger, and he had a pretty big farm dog. So it was kind of exciting. Like that was leading into shooting, feeling like, okay, the panther's around us, it's with us, that's great. And then when we had to find deer carcasses and things, everyone was happy to chip in on that front too.
Amazing. I had sort of one final question, just as we get through this, and like I know you're one of the biggest private 35 millimeter film holders, and you know, for Dave and myself, I mean, just this past year we've gone and saw Pulp Fiction and 35, Clockwork Orange, and Fight Club, and that's just this year alone. So like we're big actual film print nerds. But I wanted to know, what is your second favorite film print in your collection?
Oh, what did I say my favorite one was?
I don't know. But so I want to know what your second one is.
I think honestly, this came up the other day for some reason. I was thinking about it, but I think it's the Naked Prey, my print CinemaScope IBTech print of the Naked Prey, Cornel Wilde's Man Alone. That, if you've never seen that film, it is incredible. It's just one of the best. Ties into Bookworm. It's a wilderness survival, man against nature kind of vibe. That to me is the pinnacle of all of them. If you like things like Jeremiah Johnson and A Man in the Wilderness, those kind of hard 70s, love it. So yeah, Naked Prey, Cornel Wilde. Actually, all his films are good that he directs, that actor. He did No Blade of Grass, which I've also got on print. That's incredible. Ecological societal breakdown / hybrid biker siege movie that needs to be seen. He's a really interesting director. Sorry, he's an actor, but he became a director as well.
How difficult was it to amass the collection you have?
I mean, honestly, it becomes like a disease for a while. I've slowed down, like I've stopped. I had to stop because it was all encompassing. And so I had a period of at least 15 years where the fever was really out of control and I was just going all over the place. Dumpster diving, finding meeting people who are once you get to know all the old film buffs and everything, they all start carking it and dropping off, and then the wives or whoever are left with the material, they just don't know what to do with it. They always just call up and say, do you want this? Will you preserve it or whatever, or keep it archived as a sort of memory to the guys who have looked after it so well for so long. So we ended up inheriting a lot of the sort of really cool prints from these amazing old projectionists who just end up with very cool, obscure titles that they've collected over the years. So it's my brother's now got the disease, so that's great. I've passed it on to him. It's like a transference, and the virus he's infected. So he's picked up the mantle and is going hell for leather, which is great. So he's got access to a theater that plays 35 all the time. So we try to get as much up on screen as we can. We're big into showing, because it's just a lot easier sometimes to organize. It's just like going for 16, because we've got way more material on 16 that we've never watched, like just obscure TV movies and things that they're always kind of a nice surprise because you just don't know what you're in for. So,
amazing.
Where do you guys watch it in Toronto? Which theater do you go to?
Well, we have the Lightbox, and then we have the review, and then in Hamilton we also have the Playhouse, and they all show 35.
Isn't something happened to the review though recently? What's happened?
There was some talk about the owner was going to shut it down, but there was they rallied, and it's still open for now, and then they have a court case I think later this year about it.
Oh man, good luck there. Hope it all pulls through.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Toronto's got an awesome film scene. There used to be a guy when I used to go to the Toronto Film Festival who was like a crazy odd duck who used to do these 16 mil nights that used in like weird little clubs that you went up and he had flyers all around the town on posts and things, and he was a raconteur. He did these incredible speeches before playing these films. He's just a great little vibe in Toronto. So keep the faith, man. Keep up the good work supporting 35.
We will. Thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on the film.
Thanks, guys.
We hope that you get more great audience reactions as you go along with it.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Yes. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.